Hello, this is Eddie the Hamer here for Guitar Tutor Leeds, and for this video we're going to talk about string bending. So bending the strings, what is actually string bending? Well, it's you bend the string and you bend it into the pitch of a note. So very simple idea, and it sounds something like this. So I've bent from a particular note, this one, which is the D on your G string, and I bend for this occasion into the E. You can hear that as well. Now, string bending, I don't know, some of you may know this, may be aware of this, some of you not. Look, here's a slide. So the idea comes from, like, when you listen to this sound. So I do the same there. I go with the slide from the D into the E. So if you listen out to this, kind of simulates that sound. And that's it. So kind of mimics it. It's not completely the same, of course, but so how do you actually do string bending? A very common way to do it is use a few fingers. So usually people use a ring finger, and then you have the other fingers which help to push the string up. So you get then, and as you're pushing it, the other fingers support the finger you bend with. And how far do you need to bend? That depends on what you want to do, because you can bend into different notes and you can bend on different strings, but that's what this video is about. But just in a nutshell, yeah, you use usually your ring finger, and then you have other fingers to support the ring finger, so it makes it easier. How do you apply string bending? There's lots of different ways, of course, because it depends on the player and what you want to do. So I will mention 3 different ways. So the first one is we go into bend into a particular note. So for instance, something like, so I bend into a certain note, and I bend it into like this note. So what you could do is you could bend the note, and what is useful is that you have the right pitch. So you could check that. For instance, you bent the note, and for this occasion I bent 2 frets. You could check for yourself if you wanted to do that when you're practicing. That's a very common way to play. So you have a bit of a phrase, and then you bend into a particular note. You can, once you bend into the note, you can keep it there. Keep it there as in you don't do anything. Usually people use a bit of vibrato because it will sustain the note. So when you listen, you can either keep that vibrato at the same pitch, which is harder because you're going to move. Easier would be to bring it down. You can, just hang on to that note and bend it up again and use a vibrato again. It's just a nice sound. And you notice I did it on my second string. So my strings are quite thick, and I've got a wound third, but you can do this particular thing like bending into a note on maybe just your plain strings. That's usually, that will work well. But you can also bend on the wound strings. I do the same. I'm gonna do the same now. Just bend into a note, and then I'll do it on my wound G. See what you think of the sound. Still there, but of course it doesn't ring as much because it's a wound string. So bending into one particular note, you can do that. Now you can also bend like as a passing note. So you're actually playing 3 notes. Let's say we're going to play 3 notes, and you bend like the second note and you have a passing note. So something like this. So it's like, so I'm doing here 3 frets, my D, D sharp and E. and I was bending into the D sharp and then playing the E. You could do that anywhere. So I'm bending there 1 fret instead of 2. And then playing the 3rd note. Again, where would you do that? Just wherever you want to, really. It all depends on the music you play and what goes on. The other thing to apply string bending, this may be a bit less common, but it all goes back to what I said before, bending like in a scale. So let's say I'm going to do a C scale. I'm going to start this on the G string. Oh, by the way, I will write a article, so that will be up very soon, and then you can see the scale pattern. So you got some tabs, but I'll start it on the G. Just a C major scale. I'm probably not going to do like... So I'm going to bend now all these notes. I start on my B, I play my B, and then bend into the C. So the B was actually 1 fret before that C. So bend 1 fret, go back to the B. Now I'm going to go to my C, and I'm going to bend into the D. That's 2 frets up. Then I'm going to go for my E, sorry, my D to my E, again 2 frets up. So you see I applied the vibrato once I bent into the note. Then my E to my F, that's 1 fret up. Could also do that here on my B string, 2nd string. Bit easier for me there because my strings are so thick, but again you can do it anywhere. Now I'm going to do F into G, that's 2 frets. Then G into A, 2 frets again. Stay on that string, A to B, 2 frets. And then bend my B into my C, then I've done a whole octave, so that's 1 fret from the B to the C. So some people bend 3 frets or even more. Albert King did that, for instance. He was quite renowned for that. So 3 frets sounds something like this. So you got 2 here, A to B. And then 1 higher. But usually when you're new to string bending, it's to get the pitch, so don't overbend or underbend, but then you can play with it. So a good way, you saw me doing that as well, you can check, you can just go to the note and apply vibrato. So you bend up to a note and then you actually finger that note, you bend it into, and then use vibrato. So you hear. So you should aim for getting the same pitch. But of course, when you're new to it, it'll take a little bit of time. But the thing about why I wanted to make this video is you don't really have to be a blues player. Yes, in blues it's used very often, very common as well. But you can use string bending anywhere because it's just a particular sound and it will work in whatever style you play. There is another thing I wanted to mention quickly, bending off a string off the fretboard. That's a little bit, it depends a little bit on your guitars. If your frets are worn, it helps, it makes it a little bit easier. So bending a string off the fretboard is something like this. See, I got here the A string on the first string, the A note on the first string, and I just go 1 fret up, you can hear it. It's that note. Of course, you could do that in a more conventional way. So that's maybe more for experimental music. But I think it's a different sound, and I kind of like it, but as I said, it depends a little bit on your guitar, because I've got some guitars and it's just harder to get that sound. This one has got quite worn frets, so that usually is easier. If your frets are lowish, that will help as well. You can do 2 frets. Again, it all depends on what you can manage. 3 frets. You hear? 1 at a time. Try this on the bass string. You could do that as well. Again, different sound, but same idea. And as you notice, I'm again using the other 2 fingers to support for the string bending. So there I had a 5th. The A and then the E. But that may be more like a novelty kind of thing, or, you know, certainly not for everyone, I guess. It's a more experimental way of playing. So I'll play you out with something, just again a bit of string bending. If you like the video and if you like the idea of it, you can check out other videos and maybe subscribe to the channel as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon again.